incredible fan base.
A lot of people are cheering out there.
We're going to put a seatbelt on you to keep you in the booth.
Breaks a tackle at the 10, angles in, touchdown, and he has dominated this opener tonight.
What's up, Pack fans, and welcome to December. I'm Jeff Gravely along with Tony Haynes, and I guess we can say it was another successful November for NC State football. They go 3-1 on that month, and before we dive into football, it was a fun game last Saturday night.
Absolutely.
Senior night. It was your senior night. You got recognized on the field. You get a 28 jersey, which signifies the 28 years you were here at NC State. You gave it the good Derek Jeter hat tip.
Absolutely. I felt like Derek Jeter down there, all those cheers. You know, it's really surreal for somebody who grew up in this area. I'm a teenager going to NC State games, and I'm a student at NC State going to games. I've become a broadcaster, calling Wolfpack games. I've seen all these games at Carter-Finley Stadium, and I've watched these great fans cheer their heroes, the greatest players in the history of NC State football. And there I am standing on the field, and I'm on the receiving end of cheers like that. Never in your wildest dreams did you think you'd have a moment like that.
We will take the public address announcer here at Carter-Finley Stadium for a unique on-field presentation. At the left end zone is a gentleman that they put the camera on.
Longtime Wolfpack Sports Network member Tony Haynes announced he will retire at the end of the football season. Tony has worn a variety of hats during his 28-year tenure. He has served as a game day host and sideline reporter for football, broadcast analyst for men's basketball, has provided play-by-play for select baseball broadcasts, and has also served as a host for the football and men's basketball coaches shows. Tony, a proud NC State graduate, has brought joy to Wolfpack fans everywhere. Wolfpack fans, please give it up for Tony Haynes.
Tony raises his hat as everybody in Carter-Finley applauds. What a great career Tony's had. It has been such a treat to have this time with him. Tony's the best, and I'm excited for him that he gets to retire as he wishes. I'm disappointed I don't get to work more with him, but Tony's great. You've had a pleasure working with him for 28 years.
It has been a pleasure. I've been with him every single game these last 28 years. A couple of times when Gary had to miss a game, Tony did the play-by-play, had a chance to sit beside him a couple of times, and he's just a real professional. I try to think of a single word that really, when I think of Tony Haynes, I think of professional. He's prepared. He always says the right thing. He says it in the right way. And, you know, for somebody that didn't actually, to me, I always felt like he knew more football than anybody that never actually played at a high level football. And, I mean, he talked like he was a 15-year veteran of the NFL or something by the way he talked about football. And so it's just been a real privilege. He's ready to move on to other things. And so we're just really proud of Tony Haynes.
So to all of you, the fans, gosh, thank you so much. That was a special moment for me. And moving forward, when I look back on that, not only will that be one of the highlights of my career, it'll be one of the highlights of my life.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, it was well-deserved and earned. But, you know, if you really want to stick around one more year, or at least one more early part of the year, State's opening up next season in Brazil, in Rio. If you want to go cover that game, would you like to go?
And they've got a game at Stanford, so no, I'm not coming back.
You don't want to go to Brazil?
No, I don't.
So it was officially announced.
I can still get good coffee here.
It was announced that NC State will open next season against Virginia. That game will be a conference game this year, and it's going to be in Rio de Janeiro, in the very stadium where the 2016 Olympic track and field competition took place. And I covered the Rio Olympics. I was in that stadium a lot. It'll be a unique experience for the program to be able to experience that. It's a great area, and people in that area love their sports. So you talk about thinking outside of the box. It's the first time the game will be a football game, college game will be played there, and NC State will be involved in it.
Now, we do hate to see November go, though. Dave Doran and the Wolfpack, 9-3 in November the last 3 years. So they've done a tremendous job building, of course, over the course of the season, despite many obstacles this year, obviously, with the injuries. But it's, made it another November to remember. It's nice to play your best football at the end, and beating North Carolina certainly put them in a position for maybe a better bowl game than they would have gotten otherwise.
Pulse of the Pack is sponsored in part by Coca-Cola. Fan work is thirsty work, so enjoy a Coca-Cola.
I stand alone with fire inside, with passion burning in my veins.
It's the year-end sales event with the Ford crew.
It's a great time to buy, great time for traditions.
It's like loading up a Ford SUV and going to Grandma's house.
Hitting the slopes in a built wild Bronco.
Or making the big delivery with Ford F-Series.
Does it come in red?
Making customers happy. That's my favorite tradition.
Like my sweater.
Mm-hmm.
Now get the best-selling truck in the Carolinas with 0% financing, 0 down payment, and 0 payments for up to 90 days. Only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
Your animals depend on you every day. So we build equipment you can depend on every day. Equipment that powers through mud, dust, and extreme weather. So cutting hay, feeding livestock, and managing land is easier. Loaded with intuitive, innovative features and tech, Case IH equipment isn't just built to work. It's built to work for livestock producers. Case IH, built by farmers.
Mr. Wolf, you're all set. Complete perimeter protection installed and monitored 24/7.
No matter who you root for, we can all identify with the best in smart home security. CPI Security is the official security and smart home company of NC State Athletics. CPI Security. Identify yourself.
From protecting your teeth and gums, to restoring your smile, to sponsoring your local team, Tar Heel Periodontics is the premier periodontal practice of the Triangle community. Our team of highly skilled doctors provide dental care as individual as you are, working with you to build a personalized treatment plan to create the beautiful, healthy smile of your dreams. With offices conveniently located across the Triangle and Central North Carolina, you're never far from the Tar Heel Periodontics family. Visit our website or call now.
I stand alone with fire inside. With passion burning in my veins.
This segment of Pulse of the Pack is presented by Coca-Cola. Since 2020, they're 12-3 at home in the month of November. And sometimes seasons don't go as you plan, and November can be a challenge. People are checking out. Guys are thinking about where they're going to go next in the transfer portal. But particularly this year, when the season started 3-0, they lose 4 of 5, and they're able to put the wheels back on the car and point it in the right direction and win 3 of their last 4. Says a lot about the program.
And we've said this before, the schedule probably turned out to be a lot more difficult than you thought it would be at the beginning of the season, right? And you went up against the 2 teams. They're playing the ACC championship, Duke and Virginia, and beating Virginia. It turns out to be a great win. And then you look at some of the road challenges they had, having to go to Notre Dame, which may end up in the playoff, having to go to Miami, which may end up in the playoff. Pittsburgh is a solid team, a solid program, having to play them on their turf. I mean, and then you play at Duke, as we said, they're going to ACC championship. So there were some tough road games for NC State. But boy, they took advantage of home field, because 6-1 at Carter-Finley Stadium, including those last 3 wins over Georgia Tech, Florida State, and North Carolina.
That's a pretty good hat trick there. We looked at kind of their strength of schedule at mid-season before they were getting ready to hit the second semester of their schedule. So I went back and redid those records again. I looked at the preseason strength of schedule, and NC State was 71st in the country. When the season was over, their strength of schedule was 36 in the country, which goes to our great thing about preseason prognostications and this, that, and the other. But
yeah, we all had Duke and Virginia going to the ACC championship game, didn't we?
Yes, we did, right?
We called that one.
So here you go. Strength of schedule final. East Carolina 8-4, Virginia 10-2, Wake Forest 8-4, Duke 7-5, Virginia Tech 3-9, Campbell 2-10. They struggle this year. Notre Dame 10-2. Pittsburgh 8-2. Georgia Tech 9-3. Miami 10-2. And the last two, Florida State at 5-7 and North Carolina 4-8. I don't think a lot of people had those two teams having losing records at the beginning of the year, but both Florida State and North Carolina did. So strength of schedule in the last part for NC State, 84-60, which is 71% winning percentage.
You know, when we talk about Dave Doeren's tenure at NC State, 13 years, we often use the word development. They've done a nice job with individual player development, which now is different than it used to be. A lot of the players you're bringing in through the portal, they've already been developed somewhere else. So you don't have the opportunity to develop as many players over a 4 or 5 year span as you used to pre-portal. So I started thinking about that word development in my mind. There's also team development.
Absolutely.
And we saw team development in progress this year. It was a work in progress all season long, and all of the injuries that took away key players on the defensive side of the ball made that a challenge, although they played their defense right at the end of the year. And that's what I'm talking about. The overall development of this team was pretty impressive. We're now joined here on this first segment. This was really timely. We're joined by Devon Marshall's position coach.
It is timely.
He's a real good coach this week. That would be Brian Mitchell, coaching the corners. Great to have you here, Brian. We saved the best for last.
How much, with the injuries that have been happening throughout the defensive backfield, how many hours in the lab have you and Charlton Warren spent this year having to adjust, adapt, cross-train, this, that, and the other?
I mean, it seems like it's endless. I mean, every week there's a new challenge, and, you know, Charlton is you know, not just taken from my room, but he's teaching young men, you know, at a pace and a rate that has to be efficient on game day. So, you know, it's part of the game, you know, next man up mentality, and we do the same thing in the coaching arena. We don't change how we go about doing things. We just get those guys ready as best we can week in and week out. And, you know, yes, there are challenges to that. When you take a kid from the corner room, put him at nickel, put him at safety, put him at strong, but our kids are embracing those challenges.
There was a span in this season where you start 3-0. There was a span in this season where you lose 4 or 5. Since then, you've gone 2-1. The ebbs and flows of a season, how do you navigate through them as a coach and also try to keep your players and everybody kind of calm in the waters that can be rough at sometimes?
Yeah, you try to go 1-0 every day. I mean, you don't try to, you know, conquer the world, you know, and you know, just day by day, let's get this done today, and let's be very efficient. And as long as we're chipping away at it, good things are going to happen.
Bring it in, Old Dominion! We know that it takes hard work to be the best in the game. It starts up front with protection, making sure the freight arrives safe and damage-free. Then we work as a team, packing every shipment and running every route with precision. And we always manage the clock to be on time every time, so that every drive is a scoring drive. 1, 2, 3, OD!
Now that's the best in the game. No playoff needed. Old Dominion Freight Line, proud sponsor of college athletics.
I stand alone with fire inside, with passion burning in my veins.
All right, Mr. Wolf, you're all set. Complete perimeter protection installed and monitored 24/7.
No matter who you root for, we can all identify with the best in smart home security. CPI Security is the official security and smart home company of NC State Athletics. CPI Security. Identify yourself.
From protecting your teeth and gums, to restoring your smile, to sponsoring your local team, Tar Heel Periodontics is the premier periodontal practice of the Triangle community. Our team of highly skilled doctors provide dental care as individual as you are, working with you to build a personalized treatment plan to create the beautiful, healthy smile of your dreams. With offices conveniently located across the Triangle and Central North Carolina, you're never far from the Tar Heel Periodontics family. Visit our website or call now.
I stand alone with fire inside, with passion in my veins.
It's the year-end sales event with the Ford crew.
It's a great time to buy, great time for traditions.
It's like loading up a Ford SUV and going to Grandma's house.
Hitting the slopes in a built wild Bronco.
Or making the big delivery with Ford F-Series.
Does it come in red?
Making customers happy. That's my favorite tradition.
Like my sweater.
Now get the best-selling truck in the Carolinas with 0% financing, 0 down payment, and 0 payments for up to 90 days. Only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
You know, was it a satisfying year? Somewhat. I think it was a gratifying year for all of the things that they went through. And I think they found those moments in there where they go through adversity. And you hear every team, we've been through so much adversity, and everybody goes through adversity when you play sports. But how you get through that is a testament to the character of your program. And we saw it again this year, because we've seen a lot of teams, once they get to November and their pretty much destiny has been determined of that season, they are checked out and gone. You see that all over the country.
And you can look at some of the individual development. The poster child for NC State has to be Caden Fordham.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
Where he ended up. What a tremendous year. He led the league in tackles, right? He's one of the nation's leaders
Top
in
10
tackles per game, and he was fantastic at the end of the season. I mean, it was, I told him when he was coming in to do the post-game interviews the other day after the North Carolina game, I said, I'm going to start calling you Peyton, because he was putting up Peyton Wilson-like numbers towards the end of the season, 14, 15 tackles. And then you watch the video, if he's not making the tackle, he's one step away from making the tackle. So another guy, Dante Daniels, to me, is a great story of development over the last few years, how he improved as a tight end. Devin Marshall.
Yeah.
How good he was at corner the last few games. He really became the shutdown corner for NC State. And there are other stories along those lines of we got a chance to see these players develop not only over the course of their careers, but even this season.
You know, one of the areas, looking at their offense, the two quarterbacks that they played this year really had good years. Particularly, you know, C.J. Bailey was his usual great self, particularly at Carter-Finley Stadium. He has had 0 turnovers in the red zone. And we talk about red zone success, and NC State flourished in the red zone this year.
Amazing. And your old buddy, Steve Logan, the former coach at East Carolina, what did he call field goals?
-4s.
-4. He would love this team.
He would. 5 -4s for the Pack this year.
41 trips into the red zone, 33 touchdowns. Number 1 in the country,
Number
right?
1 in the country at 80%.
Yeah,
that's highly impressive.
Yeah.
And C.J. Bailey deserves a lot of credit, but Will Wilson may be the major reason why NC State was so good in the red zone.
Yeah.
9 rushing touchdowns, including 4 against North Carolina. When everybody in the ballpark knows he's going to get the ball, you don't know where, you don't know the blocking schemes. They're usually 3 tight ends, sometimes 2, and it's like coaches love to say, here's our play, can you stop it?
Yes.
And people have not been able to stop Will Wilson.
No, and what a stroke of genius.
Yeah.
You know, coaches in the offseason, they spend a lot of their time in the offseason making plans for the 12 games you're going to play in the regular season. There are a lot of meetings. There's a lot of film study. In one of those meetings, there's talking about personnel and how are we going to use certain guys. All right, we got this really good quarterback, C.J. Bailey, this freshman coming in, a quarterback, Mr. Football in the state of South Carolina. Right now, he's coming to the season as our 3rd-string quarterback. But can we get something out of him? And I don't know who it was. Somebody made the suggestion, why don't we use Will Wilson in the Wildcat? Because he's a really good runner, and he's got strong legs, and it's hard to get him down on the ground, as we saw just asked North Carolina.
Right.
They couldn't stop him. And so it's a stroke of genius that whoever came up with this plan, man,
give him a raise.
Give him a raise. That was one of the great personnel decisions I think I've ever seen here at NC State, and it was unorthodox.
Right.
But boy, did it work like a charm.
So the spring game last year was not televised. It was closed. I went, and Will Wilson ran roughshod over everybody. And I wonder if that was the solidifying moment where they're like, we have got to find a way to use him. And it wasn't like they saved him until the back end of the season. they thought about using him against East Carolina, didn't have to.
Yeah.
They did use him in game 2 against Virginia, and highly successful, 4th and 1.
And Virginia had to call timeout the first time.
They didn't know.
They didn't expect it.
Yeah. And again, it's one of those plays where you look at it and you're like, how in the world is that so successful? A lot of it has to do with Will Wilson, but as Coach Dorn pointed out after the win over North Carolina, a lot of it has to do with the blockers, the tight ends, the linemen. It's just a fabulous thing to watch. And as we talked about in the post game too, he can throw the ball too.
Yes, he can.
He can throw the ball too. So
well, and as a group, this is probably the best tight end group I've seen at NC State in a while, especially when you're looking at the blocking part of it. Mm-hmm. We mentioned Daniels and Cody Hardy,
Justin
Jolie, who's an NFL player, because now he can block, and we know he's a great catcher of the football. So that's what a great plan to come up with. You got this powerful quarterback, then you got these 3 massive tight ends who really like to mix it up. Cody Hardy's almost like a 6th offensive lineman anyway. And Coach Dorn told us at the beginning of the year that they took a deep dive into analytics, and the number they came up with offensively is if you can score 31 or more points in most games, you have a very good chance of winning those games. Mm-hmm. So their goal was to average 31 a game. Just missed it. They came in at 30.
Pulse of the Pack is sponsored in part by Carolina Ford Dealers. See your Carolina Ford dealer, proud sponsor of NC State Athletics.
I stand alone with fire inside, with passion burning in my veins.
It's the year-end sales event with the Ford crew.
It's a great time to buy, great time for traditions.
It's like loading up a Ford SUV and going to Grandma's house.
Hitting the slopes in a built wild Bronco.
Or making the big delivery with Ford F-Series.
Does it come in red?
Making customers happy. That's my favorite tradition.
Like my sweater.
Mm-hmm.
Now get the best-selling truck in the Carolinas with 0% financing, 0 down payment, and 0 payments for up to 90 days. Only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
I've always been curious. I was the kind of kid who took stuff apart just to figure out how to put it back together. I grew up in a house where science was dinner table talk. Curiosity was just part of life. At NC State, I found the people and the place to chase those questions. When you're surrounded by people who push you, you begin to realize it all starts here.
Mr. Wolf, you're all set. Complete perimeter protection installed and monitored 24/7.
No matter who you root for, we can all identify with the best in smart home security. CPI Security is the official security and smart home company of NC State Athletics. CPI Security. Identify yourself.
From protecting your teeth and gums, to restoring your smile, to sponsoring your local team, Tar Heel Periodontics is the premier periodontal practice of the Triangle community. Our team of highly skilled doctors provide dental care as individual as you are, working with you to build a personalized treatment plan to create the beautiful, healthy smile of your dreams. With offices conveniently located across the Triangle and Central North Carolina, you're never far from the Tar Heel Periodontics family. Visit our website or call now.
I stand alone with fire inside, with passion burning in my veins.
Pulse of the Pack is sponsored in part by Coca-Cola. Fan work is thirsty work, so enjoy a Coca-Cola.
I think you have to give credit to Coach Dorn promoting Kurt Roper into the role of offensive coordinator. You know, he'd been here and he'd coached other positions and did so successfully, but he had a really good background as offensive coordinator. So Coach Dorn didn't go outside. He'd seen Kurt Roper work with these guys. He knew what he was all about. And I was just reading online some posts from people on social media, and the reaction to Kurt Roper's offense was very positive. and that is rare.
Usually the most despised coach on the staff is the offensive coordinator.
Everybody thinks they can call plays.
Yes.
And there are, here at NC State, no exception, I think now the two offensive coordinators who have gotten rave reviews in my time at NC State. One, Norm Chow.
Right.
And
but he was just here for a year.
Just 1 year. And he did a great job with Phillip Rivers as a freshman. And now Kurt Roper. It just seemed like the consensus was, I don't know if it's universal, that Kurt Roper had a very solid year calling plays for NC State.
I think it was also put on the table from the get-go that this was going to be a year where the staff was going to be more aggressive as far as going for it on fourth down. Not going to punt at the minus part of the field. I think part of that is the analytics, but I think also, too, coaches talk about your gut instincts. So it could be a gut-alytics kind of thing.
Yeah.
You got to have both.
Yeah.
And I think there were multiple times this year that we saw NC State go for it when in years past, I don't know if they would have done that before. And I wonder how much of that is Kurt Roper telling Coach Dorn, I've got to play for that. I think we can go for it.
And the reaction of the fans as we got later into the season when it would be 4th and 2 and Will Wilson, your third-string quarterback, comes on the field, and they're going nuts. Oh, here we go. This always works, right? It's almost automatic. And it was odd in some ways, but the Wolfpack fans, they caught on. They say, hey, look, like Dave Dorn said in the Florida State game, they ran it 5 or 6 times, and they ran it the same way 5 or 6 times. And, he asked Kurt Roper, he said, maybe change it up a little bit on one of these. And Kurt Roper said, no, they can't stop it. Let's keep running the same thing. Why not?
That's right. This is a big week in college football. It's signing day on Wednesday, December 3rd, and then the transfer portal opens on January 2nd. This is a week where the staff, the GMs, the player personnel people are evaluating their roster. And also it's a week of trying to retain your roster. You meet with players. What are you thinking about? What are you considering? And you try to find, the most honest answer you can. And so there are some surprises. You sometimes there is a player that will all of a sudden hit the portal and you're a little surprised by it. But that's what this week is. You've got signing day. You've got player retention. You're looking in the portal yourself, seeing what's out there to be prepared when that portal opens on January 2nd to go out and shop and get what you think you might need.
Yeah, it's so much more of a crapshoot now.
It is.
The signing day is coming up. Normally, you would look at your signing day and your incoming recruiting classes, and you'd have a number. All right, we need 20. We need 25. And we want to shore up this position for the future. It was cut and dried, your recruiting strategy. That's no longer the case because you really don't know what your roster is going to look like come January before that portal opens. Some guys will leave. That's the bottom line. And then all of a sudden you got a week to try to plug some of those holes. So it also impacts this week. What are you looking for in a incoming freshman class without knowing exactly what your roster looks like on New Year's Day? It's crazy.
You take your high school class based on who you know is leaving the program, like who are our seniors and things like that. And that's where the portal now has to supplement, right? And because you may have more attrition than you expected at a certain position, and you didn't sign as many high school players as you needed. And so that's where that comes into play. I think I learn every year how to do it, and then it changes again, And that'll happen again here. I mean, our calendar, I think every college coach would tell you, our calendar is just not in sync with the demands of what's happening in our sport. And so we need to get our arms around that to make our jobs a little bit easier from a planning standpoint.
It's amazing. You guys had Andy Vaughn, the GM for football, on the radio show, and it was fascinating to hear him talk about how they try to project, think ahead, look and see what areas they think they might need. It's a lot more difficult now. And if you hit in the portal on players, it's a fantastic thing. NC State certainly did this year on the defensive side of the football, which was nice to see. All right, well, that's a wrap. Tony, we'll have you a few more times on the podcast. Look forward to that.
Yeah, you haven't got rid of me yet. A few more things to do before the end of the year.